Hello guys and welcome to my Skarlet Advanced Character Guide video. Today we are going to cover aspects of the game that are a little bit more advanced than the last video. We are going to divide the aspects that we're going to take a look at for Skarlet into Crushing Blows, lifesteal and how lifesteal works and the scaling that is associated with it, the strengths of the character, the weakness of the character, the pressure and staggers that the character can use, and what she can do after them, and the parry and the teleport utility that Skarlet has. Now, I want to introduce this video by saying that these are, of course, my opinions on the characters. Discussing with some other Skarlet players, and in the Skarlet Discord, I've been told that they are a little bit pessimistic, so take them as with a pinch of salt. However, I do have quite a bit of experience with the character, and I think I am leaning on the realism rather than pessimism. But it's up to you really to have an idea and figure out more stuff. I'm just trying to help. Now, we are going to take a look at Crushing Blow to start. So I wanted to show you now throws and crushing blows on throws and the requirements that go to it. So I will demonstrate. We're going to start with a forward throw. So I have my dummy registered to attack the other way. So you have seen a message that said escape failed. You need that to trigger the crushing blow. So 140 plus 14 for the forward throw. However, with the crushing blow, gonna have 310 and a plus 29. We're going to change the button. It's gonna be meshed, and we're gonna do back throw this time. Same thing, escape failed. You've seen that. You don't have to do like 2 throws in a row. You can also do other stuff, as long as the previous throw attempt has failed. And when you do the second, gonna have the crash and blow. 310 here as well, plus 14 on frame advantage. So forward throw has a little bit more frame advantage, but they are both 310 on crushing blow, and they both leave full screen, whether it's with crushing blow or without crushing blow. So yeah, I hope this is clear. The crushing blow on the parry and the requirements state that you need to land 3 parries on your opponent. The third one needs to be amplified for the crushing blow to trigger. So you land 2 parries, and when you land the third, be sure to amplify and hold the button that you amplified with, and also hold the face button, number 1, to trigger the crushing blow. It's very important that both buttons are held down, otherwise your crushing blow wouldn't be triggered. Now we're gonna look at the crushing blows from the move list. So the first one is back 2, also known as a side slam, and is the side move. Basically, Skarlet transforms her weapon into a sight. Oh, I need to remove the old guard, put it into auto guard. So yeah, I was saying she transforms her weapon into a sight, and that's overhead. The second one will trigger into a fatal blow. Now is a little bit more than double the damage for the fatal blow, and it's, let's see, the frame advantage plus 3. Oops. You have to wait a little bit because she's an auto guard. So from +3 to +20. So you have bonus on both frame advantage and damage, of course. Now the requirement for this on the move, it says that it triggers on second hit in a row. Now, I was for some reason I interpreted this as the second overhead in a row. As long as the second doesn't get blocked, you'd always be able to Crushing Blow on hit, especially when I started playing. However, what it actually says is that after the first one hits, you cannot do anything but block, flawless block, and tech throws. Anything else that is considered an attack in the game will basically disable the Crushing Blow state for Skarlet, which leads both into predictability and kind of into a mix-up that you can actually play with it. So I'll talk about it. So if you were to do this, for example, and I don't know, do D1 into another one, you would not be able to get the Crushing Blow. So you will have to not do anything get the Crushing Blow. However, since this is the situation, and we're assuming that your opponent knows, you're going to be in a situation where you can actually force a low, because they might be looking into blocking high to avoid the Crushing Blow. So you can either force a low with either that or that, and stuff like that. Or you can also force a throw if they're blocking low. So that's kind of a little mixed up with the overhead. Now the overhead is quite slow, so it's not the easiest Crushing Blow to get. But I guess if you don't stay predictable and maybe try to play really well on defense, you can set it up, doing stuff like, you know, getting away and, I don't know, dodging projectiles, and maybe they jump and you catch them, boom, Crushing Blow. Moving on to the next Crushing Blow. This one is a what's it called? A universal Crushing Blow. It's your standard D2. I think everyone has it. We're just going to activate easy Crushing Blows, so I don't have to record stuff and get into situations. Where are they? Easy Crushing Blows. Not seeing them there. There we go. So P1. So this is your standard D2, only Crushing Blows on highs, as a kind of as a punish. So basically you dodge a eye, whether it's a throw or a standing one or any kind of high. Not projectiles as far as I know, or at least not all projectiles. But yeah, you get this, and then you get your combo. Now I will talk about this later on in the guide, but basically Skarlet loses some juggle potential on this, which is a bit of a shame, especially when you get a button with such high damage as a starter. Going on, we have a back 1-2. Now back 1-2 only works either as a punish or as a counter. So basically what it means is that your opponent, it's not enough to hit your opponent with it, as you see here. Now here the Crushing Blow, easy Crushing Blow is activated, so it will always Crushing Blow. However, the opponent either has to be in the startup frames of something, right? So for example, let's say that I record this as doing an overhead when it's coming down, right? So I know that that's gonna happen. And I get that. It's a counter, I should say counter actually. There we go. And that will be one of the requirements. Or, let's see how I can do this. A little bit too early. Too far. So let's see. Punish. I think I can actually punish it. Minus 17. Let me see what's on flawless block. Minus 22, so I can do that. There we go. Let's say punish. So it's either something that is negative on block, which you're punishing with, or they whiffed, right? So let's just say that they whiff something that is easily punishable. I don't know. Let's do a far 10 to go, right? So but she's still there, punishable. That's a punish. So yeah, it's either a whiff, punish on block, or you're countering the startup frames of something, and you will have a counter notification as you've seen before. However, as a normal hit, it will not trigger. So even if you hit them, normally it's not going to trigger. Counter, with punish, or punish on block. And as a 19 startup, it's actually not really often that you're going to punish with this move. However, the Crushing Blow does cause bleed on top of the damage. So we will see the normal damage of this. I will take the easy Crushing Blow off. And we'll put it as a custom. So that's 96.50 with a plus 38 advantage. However, on Crushing Blow, where is it? P1. Gonna 146.50 plus the bleed damage, I believe, and that's plus 36 as well. So normal and what's it called, Crushing Blow, they have the same frame advantage. Yeah. Oh, plus 36, plus 38. Actually, 2 less frames, I believe. Let's double check that. 2 frame less for Crushing Blow. It's not really a big deal. It's like really no difference. But they do get the bleeding, and that can be useful for when you want to use this move. Because basically they're gonna be, I wouldn't say full screen, but if they're bleeding and they're in a situation where their life is almost depleted. Oops. Oh. See, that wouldn't have killed him. You've seen it. It recovers, but yeah. That's basically how you use this move, almost only in that situation, or unless they're really, really low there. Oops. Getting that, but yeah, that's the idea. So to go on, we're going to talk about Skarlet lifesteal. Now, lifesteal is basically a mechanic which gives you life back on when you connect some of the moves that Skarlet has. Now, in this variation, once again, I'm using Art Pierce here, the variation with the Parry and the teleport. In this variation, the lifesteal is only on normal, Firebolt, amped, and on Parry, amped. So if you connect an amped Parry, an amped Parry or a amped Firebolt, you will get life back. There you go. Now, there is no real difference concerning lifesteal scaling when it comes to Parry. You eat your Parry, you get your, I believe is 96 back. And it's just a fixed value, 95. So it's 95 back, and it's just a fixed value. However, for Fireball, the lifesteal scales based on how long your combo is. It doesn't matter how much like damage it does, or what you connect the first hit with, or whatever. It's only a matter of how long the combo is, how many hits there are. So if we want to demonstrate that, we'll see that a normal amped Fireball does 76 lifesteal. One hit into Fireball does 72.20. 2 hits into Fireball do 68.59. 3 hits into Fireball do 65.16. 4 hits though 55, 39, and 5 hits. Let's see. 52, 62, 6 hits. That will be in the corner. I mean, you can get 6 hits outside the corner, but it's probably easier to do it in the corner. So 6 hits do 49.99, and 7 hits do 42.49. So you see that the lifesteal changes based on the length of a combo. Now this is quite important because sometimes in the course of the game, based on if you have the life lead or not, if you're recovering or not, if you're on the brink of death or not, you might want to shorten some of your combos or use the lifesteal in some of your combos instead of going for the tentacle ender. So it's quite important the fact that there's lifesteal there, because it's not only that you can go like 1 2 3 1 oh, sorry 2 1 2 2 1 2 for fireball, because you're gonna get less lifesteal back. So you might need the lifesteal to survive, especially if you manage to survive your last breath and you don't have bars, you cannot, block anymore, and you manage to get a hit. You might wanna go for the maximum amount of lifesteal possible, because you want to survive that run. You want a better fighting chance. So these are really the mechanics behind the lifesteal. It's not like very complex. It's basically like knowing when to choose what to do and why. Um, the other variation has a move called Blood Siphon that also does lifesteal, much less than the normal fireball, and way much less than the parry. But it also scales based on the length of the combo. So I tried that too, and it's exactly the same. There's still scaling in there. As mentioned, the party doesn't scale, so that's still like guaranteed lifesteal. We are going to continue with Skarlet's strengths. What makes this character good? What are her strengths? What are her main points where you would want to pick a character like Skarlet? Now, Skarlet excels, of course, at full screen range. This is the range she plays better with all the zoning she can do. A range which basically has no risks unless she's playing another fireball character. But even then, there's no character that can, in my opinion, give a problem with the zoning if the zoning is played correctly. So I think she excels a lot at this range. Now, this is because this is a hard knockdown. Well, hard knockdown, so to speak. It can be rolled on wake up, but hard knockdown, as it's cannot be recovered quickly, and is massively plus on it. So you are able to basically hit one and meet another one, and there's nothing they can do about it. And then you have all your zoning patterns. You can use the blood ball to force somebody to either block or duck, because they're both duckable. And play with the tentacle. If they duck, they will have to block. They will take guaranteed cheap. It's almost riskless, and that's really where she plays better. There's setups for zoning in which, if the opponent, I will actually do it with a dummy. So if the opponent tries to jump out of particular setups, like that one, which I failed, they will be anti-aired. So I call them auto setup if I can manage to get the fireball out. So basically you do slow ball, fireball, having some execution problems. we get the amp on the fireball. I'll show you how. So you basically, you've been knocked down by that. You see that, you jump, you get anti-air by the fireball, or you can do stuff like if they jump early on or late, I don't remember, it's either one or the other. There's a video that I've done about it. No, it's the late jump. So if your opponent tries to wait a little bit, oops, and fails to jump, if he gets the jump, late one, it will be anti-air by the blood trail and so on. So she can really command that range extremely well, and she has basically no risks while doing so if you play her right, if you know when and auto zone. Now, she also excels at shorter ranges. So she can have control of stuff like jumps and she has decent pokes and ranges. She has kind of peekaboos and other setups which I'll talk about later. But yeah, generally she can command the game at some ranges. So basically mid-range, I would say this is like just outside her standing 2 because of the what's it called, dash cancels back and forth. She can do stuff like that or stuff like this and so on. And she has very good anti-airs. Her down 4 is a very good example. Universal down 2. Her jump, instant jump back 4 or jump neutral 4 are really fast and have very good hitbox. Standing 2 is a good one if they're short on their jump. Also sometimes, occasionally you can anti-air with a blood ball if you're expecting a jump, because they're hard to jump over if you're already in the air. You can do stuff like blood explosion or whatever this is called, which is quite slow and it doesn't have the best hitbox, but it can work, especially if you amp it. Trying to think. Oh, and she also has a very good jumping 1 to get juggles and convert. So she has very good control there. Now, another thing is she can work well at minus frames. Now that means that since she has good range, some of the things that would be bad for other characters maybe are not gonna be that relevant to her. So, for example, let's see, let's do right. So I have blocked that. I want to punish and I get punished. So kind of every character can do this, but since she has better range than other characters, she can play kind of a minus and you want to press buttons, but I have movement option and range, so I can actually mess you up because of that. And she has a lot of tricks, so to speak, to do this. So this is your own block, this is -5. So she can work with that, especially this into this, and then backdash cancel into back 1-2 is great because a back 1-2 on a counter or on a punish leads to crushing blow, as we've seen before. So people can be baited into that, especially if they don't know. Also, the standing 1 is 7 and leads into a stagger if they block the last hit of the string, the 4, which is flawless blockable, so most likely they won't, but 1, 2, 4 can jail into so many things, we'll see that later. Generally, it's a character where at least at mid-range, like this range, she doesn't suffer that much the minus frames as some other characters will. Now, of course, some lower tier weaker or less equipped characters will suffer more than other, and that's just their design. They might excel into something else, and that can be said. That can be said for Skarlet as well, because she's not supposed to play this range at all. Skarlet does not want to be here in any situation, pretty much. Because if she does, even if she does stuff like that, that is a true block string, slightly minus on block means that she's going to lose her turn because her normals are quite slow. We'll see that in the weakness sections. One of the other strengths, of course, lifesteal. She's the only character, as far as I know, that can do that. They can steal the life from the opponent. It's amazing as an ability, and I think it's what makes her viable, so to speak. She would suffer a lot without lifesteal, and I think that's also the reason to pick this variation over the other one, because the party guarantees bigger lifesteal in many situations in which to use it. Now, the other things that are really good are up trees. So I will show you what I mean. Right. So I will try and get the max range for up three, and I will have it here. So I just say there. So up three, which is one of our wake up button, is the one that doesn't go into a launcher. It's probably not even max range. Oops. So let's try max range. Let's see if this is max range. No, not yet, but yeah, slightly in there. So, oops, probably there. There we go. Yeah, so that's max range for up 3. Is amazing, is very high, so it can anti-air the opponent as well. So if the opponent was to do that and then do that, supposedly, yeah, see, they get anti-air even higher than that. So let's try and do it faster. That's a bit too high. Let's see if that works. But yeah, generally has a very good hitbox, especially if your opponent pushes buttons when they are in the air. See if that works. Probably not. No. But yeah, it's a button that's gonna save you a lot in a lot of situations, like when they want to neutral jump, maybe, you know, late neutral jump to bait a button. Sometimes you can get them out of that. Not in this case. Just believe me, it works, guys. I'm tired, but yeah, it's a good button to wake up with. It catches people off guard. Is plus 12 on hit. So let me just get her hit. Right. And at some ranges you can jail on with what's it called, F4. So even if they were to duck, because the F4 is a double high, hold on. Right, let's see if that works. There you go, they cannot duck. So you can do some nice things with it, and you can jail people with some options. Some people will neutral duck after it, because Skarlet has some problems with opponents ducking against her. We'll see that once again in the weakness section. But this is like really good option, and it's probably the best up 3 in the game with, I don't know if Frost is even this good, but like, you know, very far-ranged up trees. Apparently, you can also combo in some situations with 1-2 into fireball, 1-2 into tentacle, 1-2-4 into tentacle, and stuff like that. Personally, I haven't used that much. I have to look into it, but I've heard that it's doable. And last thing is the fatal blow. 13 frame startup, which is among the fastest in the game. Of course, you know, everyone knows about Aaron Black's 10 frames, Jack's 11 frames, very fast, especially Jack's travels forward, and so on. Aaron Black goes full screen and blah blah blah. For her, the range is not that good as, you know, Aaron Black or Jack's, but she has a lot of damage on it. I think it's 340 by itself, and then you can hit your QTEs to enhance damage. Yeah, 340 normally. We'll see if we can. I'll try a couple of times, but if I don't get bonuses, so yeah, 354. That's already like a lot. But yeah, you can see like there's extra damage that can be done if you eat all of your QTEs. It doesn't scale as much as many other fatal blows. Um, it has decent range when the opponent is coming down from a breakaway. I've, you know, caught people that were quite far. So generally is a good fatal blow. It doesn't, you know, once again scale as much, and it does a lot of damage. 13 frame startup is pretty damn great. Also, I forgot to mention that she has a very good corner carry overall. So for any combo that you will hit, there's always a way to get a full corner, well, not full corner, but corner carry is pretty devastating. It puts them always full screen. Doesn't really matter where you are. They're always going to be full screen for you. So I will show you by getting the dummy in the corner. There we go. Oops, missed it. Let's start on the left. It's probably easier. Ah, come on. There we go. So you can see it's always like corner to corner. I cannot go back, and the dummy wouldn't be able to go back there. However, like this is kind of a problem as well, which can be mitigated slightly with characters which you cannot zone out, like Scorpion would be a prime example. So this actually works against you because both as well the what's it called? The throws work this way because she's thought to be a, you know, fully zoning character. So a throw also puts the opponent on the screen and ready for a meaty. A back throw would work the same way, and so on. And you know, usually conversion works like that as well. So if you are against a character that can zone you out, she has like options like free stands and so on if you want to keep them close. However, she doesn't have the best fighting chance, so trying to get somebody that can zone you out but can also overwhelm you with offense like Scorpion is quite hard to work, let's say that. Now we are going to talk about Skarlet weaknesses, and as I mentioned at the start of the guide, this is my perspective. It might be a little bit pessimistic. I love this character to bits. I'm having so much fun and I'm committed 100% to try and make it work the best she can. However, she has some glaring problems in my opinion, and the first one is that a lot of the stuff is duckable. We're talking this, this, this. Let's see, let's start with this ones. You eat this as a as a punish, and that's Skarlet's punish, which is not the greatest. Some other character you will eat a lot of damage for it. So we duck the first, let's duck the second. Once again, full punish, because of course if they're duckable, means that they're high or not through mid at least. Try that one. There we go. All of them are punishable. Some of them are also your B&B starters or your combo starters. In fact, standing 2 is the one that probably leads to the best combos she has, which damage-wise are quite low. And that wouldn't be that much of a problem because she's meant to be a zoner. She's not meant to be a character that does a lot of damage. However, when a lot of your combo starters have this problem that they're duckable, then your opponent's gonna start to um, get used to that stuff. Especially when all your other alternatives are basically finished after 1 or 2 hits. So the alternative there would be this into this, or this into this, or oh sorry, this and so on, right? We're gonna see that later when we talk about the pressure and staggers, but generally these, these, these are all main buttons, so to speak. Hell, some of them are actually your punishers, because the other button that cannot be crouched, the other buttons that cannot be crouched are back 3, well, of course, back 4, but that cannot be cancelled. Not is it into any string. So back 1, which starts at 19. A lot of the stuff is like very, very slow. So you're forced to basically, sorry, play a game of, do I want to try the big reward, hoping that they will not crouch? So try and go for, this and then confirm into the full 3 hits if I see it hitting. Do I want to try and steal my turn with this, or try and punish with this if I know that they're punishable, and so on. However, if they duck, you're gonna eat 400 plus damage against some characters, and the only alternative, once again, is to do stuff like this, which will end your turn as soon as they block the tentacle. Or this, same thing. You can even be punished there, but some character with a flawless block, and so on. And yeah, sometimes you can get space, but some characters can close that space and still be safe or even plus in your face. So you are in a position as Skarlet where you really have to think about what you do, and you really have to get in your head all the frame data working for you, because as soon as you are in a situation where they're like, I don't know, -2 on block, but your fastest through mid, sorry, is 13 startup, they might actually steal the turn back, even though theoretically, so to speak, should be your turn. So this is something that Skarlet has to deal with, especially if they close the range on you, and that's once again because a lot of her stuff is very slow. Now, the fastest buttons she has, if I don't forget anything, is standing 1 at 7, standing sorry, D1 at 7, which doesn't cancel or combo into anything. Some character from either D1s or D3s can go into strings and so on. She doesn't really have that. And then you have standing 4 at 10. Now, both standing 1 and standing 4 are highs. So, standing 2 is 13, forward 2 is 13, back 3 is 13, back 4, sorry, is 15, 22. Both the sweep and the overhead don't lead to anything. Yes, double overhead is a crushing blow, as we've seen in the crushing blow section, but it cannot be cancelled. They are massively punishable on block, both as at minus 17. So it's basically a do or die situation. If they block, you're getting fucked. There's no way around that. And this is 19. This is 13, which is good and is advancing. It's only minus 6 on block, if I remember right. Let me see. Forward 4. Yeah, minus 6 on block, minus 6 on flawless block. But yeah, generally she's a character with very slow normals compared to, you know, other characters, and not many options of those normals as some other characters do have. Once again, she's a zoner. It's justified, so it's not that they just, you know, shut the bed with this. But these are the problems. I'm just listing them. So due to this, of course, she suffers the up close pressure, because the only way for her to really get out of pressure is landing a D1 and then hoping that they will press a button after, and she can, you know, steal their, well, not really steal their turn, but confirm into back 3-4, which sets them away, or that into that. Other than that, if your D1 is blocked, oh man, prepare to block and prepare to be in trouble. The only really exit out she has is standing 4-4 into teleport, if I remember right. I have some notes, so just picking them up for this video. Teleport. Oh yeah, so also standing 2-4 into the far teleport, that's also unpunishable on block if they block the 1-2-4 completely. So if they block the whole string, then you cannot be punished, you can get out of there. But once again, this is high, so you see that the problem, we still go back to the problem. 4-4 as well, this one on block is also unpunishable, but it's a high. So from a situation where you're getting pressured, you have a lot of problems. And that, once again, is the problems of a zoner. So it's kind of justified. But sometimes you are F plus frame advantage and they're still ducking in your face. Because the worst they're going to hit is this into this, or this into this, or this. Oops, sorry. Or this into this, because you cannot threaten them, so to speak. It's not a character where, oh my god, I've been hit while I'm crouching and I'm gonna be into a situation where half of my bar is melted. Yes, you're gonna be so not even full screen sometimes. This is not like properly full screen, and this kind of is, but once again, but yeah, you're gonna be far, of course. You're gonna be against Skarlet, that's when she excels. But some characters completely deny that, either with teleports or anti-zoning properties, like, you know, Jade being immune to projectiles, or jumping forward with air fireballs, which she struggles to deal with. So yeah, very bad timing you're gonna have when you're getting pressured. Now, another thing that I struggle to accept in this character is, I'll show you. So this is your, you know, kind of best combo, so to speak. Right? However, if you hit a up 2, right? So, I'll show you. You're gonna have reduced juggle potential. See? Your fours will not be, you know, you're never gonna be like in that range that your fours will work. So you're gonna have really even less damage, if I remember right. Yeah, you will. One sec. manage to hit this thing. So yeah, 260 instead of 290 on up twos, which will be not only from waking up and only using your bar, and that's absolutely fine because you're in a situation where you should be pressured and you actually make it out with a combo. That's absolutely brilliant. That's happy birthday and everything. But if you're in a situation like this where you're using two bars, despite getting your zoning back, you're still losing 2 bars for less damage in a normal combo. So I'm really not happy about that. Moreover, if you, so to speak, use the up 2 in some situations where they're not too close, you are going to whiff that up 2, and that's still gonna cost you bars, right? So let's try this. I think this should work. Right? So you would say do up 3 instead, which is fine, but then we go back to the problem that she has. The fast buttons are 13 outside the standing to range, which is barely there. Yeah, see? If I don't go forward, I can, of course, but if I don't go forward, I'm gonna miss my standing too, and it can be ducked. So once again, if I do this and wait a little bit, I'm gonna see the problem. So yeah, and you're gonna eat a D2 for that. So yeah, generally it's not the greatest tool, up 2. It can work in situations where your opponent maybe has knocked you down and is trying to do that to bait your wake up. And you can, score a combo, maybe too high. Let's try and do a worse one, let's say. Hopefully this will work. Bad timing. Right, they're delaying their button for whatever reason. Not even. Let's do, oh no, I cannot delay to wake up. But yeah, it works in situations where people are trying to bait you with a jump and they're a little bit mistiming themselves, so to speak. So that up 2 can kind of work in that situation, but generally is very short ranged. It leads to less juggle potential and the damage than your regular BMBs. And I don't know, like you need the bars as well with this character, especially for lifesteal. 1 bar less in offensive means you're not going to be able to get some lifesteals sometimes, especially if you enter 2 times in a row and so on. What else? Oh yeah, the D2 we were talking about. One more thing is same thing with up 2. With the Crushing Blow D2, I'll put the easy, what's it called? Easy Crushing Blow for me. It's still gonna be like great damage because it's a D2. Come on. So yeah, still gonna be great damage, especially for Skarlet, because it's a D2. But it still reduced the what's it called? Reduce the juggle potential and probably corner carry, I would hazard. So we're just gonna try that too. Custom, we're gonna go on the left. So we're gonna start from here. Again. So yeah, that's Ezio full screen and she's pretty much on the bell. Now we're gonna try with D2. It might not be, but I'm pretty sure it is. Oops, fucked up. Also, yeah, you need like different combos with the D2. It's a different tentacle. But yeah, see? Slightly less. It's not a big deal. It's not like huge, but it's still less range. Which is like, on a crushing blow, really. So yeah, I would have liked that extra corner carry. This is a minor thing, so really don't really bother that. But I would have liked that extra zoning because she does really excel at that range. Another problem with her is that her strings, all of her strings are easily flawless blockable, and sometimes, excuse me, sometimes even the follow-ups are not the greatest. We're gonna see this in more details later, but all of her strings are kind of intuitive to flawless block. Now she has some ways around this, which I will show you. And now this is not even the damage that she will suffer there on a flawless block. It's also the pressure that she will have to sustain, which puts her in a terrible position. So other strings that are easily flawless blockable. One. And now Skarlet versus Skarlet. I cannot up two some situations, but some other characters will. And even like on normal, well, this is not the case because this is only -6, but some others will be punishable by just flawless blocking, not cancelling, and punishing with your, normal non-cancelable option. What other? Yeah. That. What else? Trying to remember. Move list. Let's see. That one. Oh yeah, the kicks. Very flawless block. Yeah, that too. So on. And the cancels that you get from many of them, not all of them, are usually terrible and sometimes punishable as well. So she does suffer whether she really struggles to initiate a lot of her stuff. It's basically a poke character, find a way out or make your defense work for you because you're not gonna be in a position where you're gonna pressure a lot or you're gonna get out of pressure easily. Of course, if there's flawless blocks, a lot of the stuff can be fatal blown in between. So if you do your shrink and there's a gap there, for most of them you're gonna get fatal blowed in the face, um, which you have really not many solutions to aside, shortening the shrink. But sometimes shortening the shrink means you're gonna get punished because some options are bad only on the first hit. So that's Scarlet's life, I guess. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty much what I was saying. The enders sometimes are like duckable, flawless blockable. We're gonna see this in the next session, which is pressure and staggers. Pressure and staggers. Now I will start from the good ones, of course, with Scarlet and the way she can kind of force pressure. I don't think she has so many of them, and some of them leave her in not the greatest position, but she has something, and being a zoner, having an option that can stop the pressure or put the opponent in a guessing or pressure situation is always great. So we are going to start with uh, the good ones. So back three into tentacle is one. I will show you there's no like room to flawless block or anything like that. I think it even beats, if I remember right, it even beats Fatal Blow. So we'll see that. Yeah, just as you see. And it cannot be flawless block. So you just have to take it, really. It leaves you at -6 on block, and you're quite close. So you might need to have to take the pressure after, but it's something. Also, another thing is back three, if I manage to execute it. Also, back three on block into Firebolt, the regular Bloodshot, I believe it's called, cannot be crouched, and that's pretty big because usually from other staggers and other pressure, the problem is that the opponent can crouch the Firebolt, and the Firebolt, having quite the recovery, can be punished pretty easily. So in this situation, if you do back three into Firebolt, you can see I'm holding down. I'm still getting hit by it. There is no, if I remember right, there's also no gap. Yeah, so you cannot Fatal Blow in between, and you cannot flawless block. It's only -5 on block. And once again, you're in the same situation. You're gonna need to take pressure from there probably, or just throw a D1 or something not too risky, but it's something. Also the back three into Fireball, if you of course hit it, you can get the amp for lifesteal, so that's great as well. Back 3 cancelled into far teleport is -19. So it is punishable, but due to the range against some characters that have no fast horizontal moves, like Sub-Zero or Liu Kang, you're gonna hit the punish. There's nothing to do about it. But some other characters that struggle to close range fast horizontally, then you might try this back three into teleport. It's not the greatest option. It can be punished even by characters that don't have like a horizontal option, like that, as you see. But it requires some reaction, it requires some execution. Like in my case, I had to do dash cancel back four. And there's probably like a 3 to 4 frames timing there. Another option is what I like to call back three into parry peekaboo, so to speak. It's basically canceling the parry and canceling, sorry, into parry the back three and then uncanceling the parry as soon as possible. That gives you an option that is very hard to react, in my opinion. And it's only, I would say, I cannot be certain, but I think it's -11 because you can punish with a standing 4 for Skarlet, that is 10 frames, but it's fairly hard. And Fatal Blow reversal of 13 frames will still be blocked. So I will show you how that looks like. So Fatal Blow gets blocked. Fairly easy punish with a 7. Oops, and it's quite hard to get the punish with the standing 4. So you have to be quite precise. Also, another thing that is good about this is if you manage to get, what's it called, like if your opponent does a flawless block, and then cancels into the up 2 and up 3, sometimes your instant activation of the parry can actually catch them. And I will have to lab this with different characters, but at least in a scenario of Skarlet against Skarlet, I will show you what happens. react. So just a single one. So yeah, it counted. There you go. So yeah, it can catch your opponent flawless blocking and canceling from flawless blocking, and you actually get a parry that you can also amp on reaction. So that's a great option as well. Once again, only minus 11 on block. Another thing about back 3 into the options that are shown is that it cannot be crouched, differently from standing 4 that I will show now. So with standing 4, you can crouch it, but if you catch somebody blocking, they cannot crouch the fireball once again, and they cannot break through with anything. So it's a through block shrink, it cannot be flawless blocked, and also if you if your opponent flawless blocks it but doesn't have the bars, it's still safe, and you still cannot duck the fireball, of course. I'll show you that. So see, molding down back and duck the fireball. And if I remember right, the same is for tentacle as well. So there is a gap there, but it will beat the fatal blows. Yeah, as you've seen. And I don't think it's flawless blockable. So yeah, it's even this one is safe. They're -5 and -6 on block. And once again, you will have to take pressure with these. Now, this is when the options start to get progressively weaker or exploitable in a way. There's still not like horrible options, but there are flaws in them. So in this case, if you block, if your opponent blocks all of this string, once again, they cannot crouch the fireball, which is important because you can get the life back if they get hit. And it's only -2 on block, and you're at that range, so it's basically a plus for you with that range, with the whole, you know, backdash and range thing that you have. Moreover, there are 2 block string, so you cannot mash fatal blows in between or try to flawless block the fireball once you block the all 1, 2, 4. However, the problem here is that 1, 2, 4 is very easy to flawless block. Your opponent will have big combos from it. A thing that you can do against some characters, I will have to really lab this and maybe make a video about it, is that instead of going for your ender, whether it's the fireball or the tentacle they will see after, if you're expecting them to, well, first of all, if they have bars to cancel, which will be your main concern, because if they flawless block, but they don't have bars to cancel, they still have to take the fireball, they still have to, like, they still cannot crouch the fireballs, so it's still pretty good for you. However, if you're expecting them to flawless block and cancel, you can do this, and you get the, you should get the, what's it called, the parry. Depends on the startup, so I'm pretty sure it works on Baraka, so let's do this on Baraka. It's character specific, it's stuff that you will need to learn, but it's an option, so I wanted to show it to you.
Skarlet, Shinnok's Bone Temple.
So for Baraka's up 2, the frames are 11 startup. And 11 on startup for both up 3 and up 2. So it probably depends both on the frame startup of up 2 and up 3. So we'll see that another time. But yeah, generally it's an option that you can use against some characters if you're expecting them to flawless block into cancels. And if you actually manage to guess right, not only you get the lifesteal and you get the knockdown, but you also have them wasting 2 bars for an option that should have guaranteed them a launcher into a combo, or at least, you know, some pressure off of them, and actually puts them in a situation of suffering Okizeme, suffering pressure on wake up, and wasting 2 bars. So another thing that you can do is this. Now, once again, this is assuming that they block the whole string. No gap there. And no way to flawless block. So if they don't flawless block at the 1, 2, 4, they have to take everything. It's -4, -5 on block, depends on how you block it. And it's huge range, huge pushback, so that's something you can keep in mind. Also, if you do 1, 2, 4 into forward teleport, it's only -10, and nobody in the game can punish it. I will not demonstrate that, but if you are curious, just go into training mode, pick Iron Black, reversal, fatal blow, or whatever, and you'll see that you're safe. And also the what's it called? The 1, 2, 4 peekaboo parry. So we'll see that too, right? If you're not expecting them to, sorry, if they don't fatal blow, flawless block, the 1, 2, 4, you can do this and quickly get into blocking position. I believe it's like completely safe. If I remember right, I was testing this with Sub-Zero, maybe? I don't know, let's have a look. If it's not like safe from Sub-Zero slide or Aaron's Black Fatal Blow, it's still safe from like normals and other options that are not the best, so to speak. But let's
Aaron
try that.
Black, Skarlet, Shirai Ryu Fire Garden.
I wrote down unpunishable, so I'm assuming that it really is unpunishable. So let's execute this correctly. Okay. Yeah, so you see reversal fatal blow, completely ducked, not even blocked. So it's something that you can do as well. Just peekaboo into parry, and you're not going to be punishable there. Now we go on with the 4-4. So the string 4-4, I believe, is called coagulation, and the moves something like that. Oh yeah, I'm on the Aaron's one, but yeah, 4-4 string into fireball, completely safe through block string all the way, and the fireball is uncrouchable, so you can see I'm crouching. So that's amazing. -1 on block at that range might as well be a plus for you. Very, very good string. The only problem with it is if they're crouching, you eat a D2 and it goes into a Crushing Blow. But there are some ways to jail into this, meaning that you can hit the opponent with some buttons or options. They will be forced to take the 4-4, and there is no what's it called? Once again, there is no risk for you really at this range, as long as you block after. Moreover, we have 4-4 into a tentacle. If I remember right, this is also like all the way through. Yes, so no way to mash in between. And what's it on block? -4. So even there, pretty good frame advantage and positioning. think this is also unpunishable, given that you block after. Yeah, you can see 10 frames, nothing to do there. And last but not least, you can use 4/4 into far teleport, which will allow you to escape a corner or a situation when you know you're getting pressured, and you know, get some zoning going. So that's how it looks like. You can see reversal, still safe. We move on to forward 2, and this is quite useful, but also has some glaring weaknesses, and it can only be really exploited to full potential when the opponent doesn't know they can duck fireballs off of this. So I will show you what it looks like. So you're blocking there, -2, absolutely great for you. However, if they know that they can duck, gonna eat the punishes. Gonna try and find the full, the full range for this. But I think you can still be punished at full range. Yeah. Generally on block, this is pretty good. And another thing that you can do is Blood Bowl. However, this is pretty good because you can kind of create a mix-up if they're still respecting the Blood Bowl. So the good thing about this is you cannot jump after blocking this. I think even on flawless block, you cannot jump, yeah. So you either have to crouch or just have to block. Now, this is important because if you start doing this, which is also duckable and full punishable, well, it's actually not full punishable if I remember. You can only, well, you can punish it with lows, so depending on the character and the options they have after. But at least at that range, like if you're doing it this close, you're probably gonna get punished at some point. Yeah. Let's see. Probably a -8, -9. Oh no, -10. So yeah, depending on the range, of course, you don't have to use it at that range because that'd be dumb. But generally, if they start blocking this, however, it's +6. So if they were to stay in range, and you would do another forward 2, then you could change the option into a tentacle or a normal fireball, which makes that unjumpable. So the kind of mix up there is, do they know they can duck and avoid the frame advantage, and punish me in case of the fireball, or do they not know? And if they do know, you can do stuff like this, right? However, if they know about this, then they can flawless block the tentacle and punish you. Now, Skarlet doesn't have the best punishes at this range, but what's it called? Sub-Zero slide will get you. A Liu Kang, I believe, is 14 frames. The flying kick will get you. So you would have to be careful about that. However, once again, this is not jumpable. You get hit. So even on flawless block, if they don't cancel, of course, you cannot jump it. Moreover, if you do stuff like this, if they read it, I think you can get punished, if I remember right. Yeah, that's a punish. And if you do forward 2 into fireball, it's actually punishable, so it's like -24, which is huge. But once again, against some specific characters which struggle to close range and move horizontally quickly, it might be a gimmick or, something to keep in mind. Like even Skarlet has a 22 frames over it, but between the reacting and releasing the button and doing back two, it's not the easiest punish against characters where which have horizontal options. Is gonna be just a straight punish. Now, the last things I want to talk about in this guide are parry and teleport, and the utility of these two specials. Now, parry is useful for a series of things. Namely, it works as a resource for Skarlet to get lifesteal back. Like life back through lifesteal. However, that's not the only thing that she can use the parry for. Parry stays as a 9 frame startup, and he beats highs, mids, throws, common throws, and well, I wouldn't say projectiles, no, because it loses to projectiles. But what I mean is, there are some physical specials like Johnny's what's it called, glow kick, or Raiden's electric wheel things that will actually be countered by the parry. So some of the specials will straight up beat them, especially if there's no physical contact with the parry, but some others will actually lose to the parry and give you a fighting chance in some situations. Most likely you're going to use the parry either as a tool for winning like down one poke wars. When your opponent is doing a lot of down ones and you're doing parries. Like if I'm expecting to, like if I block a D1. Sorry, let's record again. Let's hold that for a second. Right? So if I'm the opponent and I see, oh, I blocked him D1, it's my turn, I get parried. Aside that, it's also a great tool in situations where you kind of lost your turn, but you are at a space and they're coming at you with something that is fast horizontally, but not as fast, so to speak. So in a situation where, for example, you're doing stuff like that, right? So that's a -5 move. Sorry, string. If they're fast, and if they react, yes, they can still punish you, depending how you set the parry. But if they're a little bit slow, you are going to win the exchange by parrying. Now, this is especially important in situations where you're even further than that. For example, I don't know, you're doing... And at that situation, you're gonna have like somebody, I don't know, like Jackie, for example. Let's take that as example, right? So if they have a character like Jackie, like Johnny, like characters that can close ground fast, and you put that option out there, they always have to second guess what they're gonna do, because the parry is always an option. Now, depending on what you initiate the parry from, you're going to have some success or not success. Because if you cancel into the parry by something that is already massively minus, they're probably going to punish you. So for example, I should have actually done the other way around. So I'm the Jackie and the dummy is the Skarlet. There's Jackie there.
Jackie Briggs, Skarlet, Special Forces.
So yeah, in situations
Desert
where you
Command.
cancel from something that is already minus or not a stagger, you're probably gonna get punished anyway. So it's up to you to have the knowledge of where and when to use the parry and at which distances and so on. So for example, let's say let's do 4-4 into parry ult. right? So the opponent sees that the 4/4 has gone off, and they want to close the range. Which one is it? That one. And they get parried, right? And you're gonna get the amp, you're gonna get the lifesteal. Not only that, you're also going to get a pretty sweet free teleport out against even like save from wake up, like wake up
Gears.
up 2 or wake up 3. We'll show you what I mean. This was discovered
Skarlet.
by a guy called Hater, I believe, in the Discord. Kindly showed me this stuff,
Shiraiyu
so
Fire
I'm including
Garden.
this in the guide for you as well. It's especially important because if you parry something, putting yourself in the corner, you can actually get out of it safely, and sometimes it can be used to bait people that don't know that it's safe. So, for example, let's just say that. So we're going to do this, right? Right, get parried. Then the idea there is to amp the parry. So actually, let's just do that. Right, buffering the amp. Right, you amp the parry. Your plus doesn't really say what the plus is, but you're plus enough to be safe from the wake up. So you can get stuff like parry even in the corner. So let's move them in the corner. So yeah, stuff like this. Right, you will put yourself in the corner. However, you can get out of there quite freely, so to speak. So you will be in a situation where, let's see if I have the way to. Actually, I can probably do it the other way around. So let's swap this again, and let's record the dummy to do up 2 or up 3 on wake up. Let's set it like that.
Skarlet.
Sorry guys,
Gears.
I didn't theory craft this before the video to see
Shiraiyu
what will
Fire
work best.
Garden.
So, actually, practice option, variation, wake up. Where's the wake ups? AI option, get up attack. As always, let's say up to Titan charge, maybe. Yeah, Titan charge is probably the one. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, so that's the wake up, right? Oops. Oh yeah, it doesn't wake up, so we'll have to swap it into custom. Let's see, can we do this? Yeah, okay, so it will wake up if I do that. So let's try again. Oops, playback. Using custom. See? And then you can punish or whatever. Also, if you corner yourself with the parry, as we were seeing before, you can also use the far teleport to get away. So, let's see this. And it's completely safe. You've seen that I was raising up when Giras was still on the floor. Um, so yeah, generally you want to use parry in poke wars uh, to cancel from strings that are either minus or they will leave you in a situation where you get pressured when your opponent is expecting to take their turn. If you're at distance, so you would use that. Once again, it loses to jumps, it loses to lows, and it loses to specials from far away, so stuff like that is not physical. Lose to a parry. Of course, he also loses to fatal blow. So you would have to keep that in mind. Um, Generally used with teleport is quite amazing because it gives you once again the opportunity to just restart your zoning, which is always like amazing for Skarlet, unless you play Pokemon, then that's already better. Or baiting stuff. So let's go on the other side. Oh, come on. Yeah, once again, you get out of the corner. You also have Krushing Blows on the third one. So look, that's all the space you gain from the corner, almost into the 60% of the stage already covered. So it's pretty good. You can do stuff like you can do mostly gimmicks. Uh, Stuff like full screen. Let's go to center. So stuff like this is not really true, but you know you can use that even if they crouch it. So let's put it into crouch. Block mode, movement mode, duck. So even if they're crouching, right? If they don't have like great reactions and so on, it's still safe because the ball is targeting only with the far teleport. If you do the close teleport, you're gonna get fucked. Oops. Right? Because you're gonna stay there. They're crouching. They can push like a low button and punish you and so on. So I hope guys you have enjoyed this advanced Skarlet guide. I hope it has given you some insights into the character and you know how she plays and what you can do with her. Um, if you did enjoy it, please share this video. You know, subscribe to the channel, follow my stream. I also offer free coaching on my Discord. The link will be in the description. So if you're interested in getting better at Mortal Kombat or any other fighting game that I actually play myself, I can help you. So yeah, see you at the next video. Bye bye.